everybody. Welcome to my Monday live stream, streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. So depending on where you are watching, welcome, whether you are a gorgeously green YouTube subscriber or whether you are a Facebook person. So thank you so much for joining me. Tonight, I am going to be doing a Q&A. So what I recommend you do, I've got a bunch of questions, and the topic tonight is focusing on nutrition. So I am, for those of you who don't know, a board certified nutritionist. So I wanted to take some questions because I have had a lot of questions recently. And I'm just going to look at your comments here. Let me see if I can get your comments even. Let's see what is going on here, because I need to see. I just clicked on something, so get rid of that, whatever I clicked on. So yeah, I'm going to be taking questions, and I have already got, here we go. I've already got a bunch of questions, and I asked you to post those before in comments below on Facebook. So I'm going to hit those questions first. And if you have any other questions, then pop them in the chat and I'll try and get to as many as I can in 30 minutes. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Inez. Hi, Denise. Hi, Cheryl. So what we're going to do tonight is we're focusing on nutrition, and I'm focusing on nutrition as I always do as it pertains to for weight loss, but really weight loss in, the way that I teach weight loss, being a weight loss specialist, is how to reach your ideal weight. So it's not about necessarily, yes, we want to be in the best and fittest shape of our life and feel beautiful and be confident, but it's your ideal weight is your healthy weight. So how to reach your healthy weight and how to stay there, sustained, permanent weight loss. So nutrition, and if you have questions to do with that, because it's just fascinating and exciting to me that both disease prevention and weight loss come into, they just blend in so beautifully together. It's just obviously not one or the other. And certainly the way that I teach nutrition and that I teach, my beautiful clients who I coach, is that these two things very beautifully come together. So anyway, we're going to be getting into that. So any questions that you have, hi Karen, hi DC, hi Pamela, hi Kathleen. That's a really good question, Kathleen. Actually, I'm going to write that question down so I don't forget that one. But what I want to ask you a favor is I'm going to get through some of the questions that I was asked. Hopefully these questions will be really good for all of you so that in the Facebook group. And then I'm going to do a blast of, okay, ask your questions now, and then you can put your questions in the chat, because that way I can just really focus on the questions, or my answers, I should say, and then I'm not missing questions as we go down. Hi, Linda. Hi, Sandra. Okay, that's a really good question. Okay, you know what? I tell a lie. I'm going to take a couple of these questions because I don't want to forget them. All right, so I'm actually going to take Sandra. I'm going to take your question first. So Sandra's question was, do you think weight training is essential for weight loss? I walk and walk and walk for miles, and I don't seem to lose any weight with a great diet. So Sandra, I would say that I don't think it is essential, like you literally have to, but I think it is massively helpful. So the ladies that I work with, and I have, that I work with in coaching, because that's what I do now. I coach in a very intensive way, a small group of women. But really, truly, weightlifting, it doesn't have to be weight training, but certainly resistance training is going to really speed up your weight loss. So I would say to you that if walking, which is a weight-bearing exercise, but if that's not doing it for you and you're not seeing the kind of weight loss that you would want, and you say that you're on a great diet, I don't know exactly what your diet is, then I would definitely introduce some pretty challenging resistance training and see if that makes a difference. So that is for you. Now, let's see. Hi, Darla. Hello, hello, hello. All right, so this is Kathleen, and Kathleen says recommended FODMAP diet from a doctor because of IBS, but then I can't have legumes. Any suggestions? So here's what I would recommend, Kathleen, is a FODMAP's diet can be really helpful. It can be, but it's very important to understand that a FODMAP's diet was created as a temporary measure. Temporary. That's really important. It's not a permanent fixture, and it should never be. And so it's important when you do a FODMAPs diet, which means that you'll be eliminating various foods. And I won't go too deeply into that because I don't want to take too much time. Those of you who know about a FODMAPs diet will be aware of the different, sugars and starches and whatnot that you need to avoid. But it's very, very important that you start introducing those back in, because many of the FODMAPs foods are the healthiest foods on earth, be it the beans and the legumes that you just mentioned. So what I would recommend is try the FODMAPs, see if it works for you, see if it lessens your symptoms of IBS. It doesn't always, because IBS is a very complicated condition. It sometimes and very often has an emotional and a stress sort of emotion component as well. Sometimes it is diet, sometimes it's a little bit of both. So it's complex, but by all means try the FODMAPs, but know that once you've cut everything out, all of the FODMAPs out, then you need to introduce the different ones back in one at a time to see if it affects your, the IBS or not. And it might well be that you can eat beans. So just have faith. And very often also, and I recommend a lot of you read the book by a gastroenterologist. I had him on a live stream a few months ago, and Dr. B, and it's called Fiber Fueled. And he, being a gastro, deals with a lot of people with, IBS, Crohn's, lots of very serious digestive disorders. And really, he speaks very eloquently about FODMAPs and whether to take them out, and if you take them out, how to put them back in again. So I highly, highly recommend his book. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. Yes, absolutely. And I don't see your name, whoever put that little comment in, but IBS is indeed a very, very complex issue. I suffered myself from IBS when I was in my 20s. And I think one of the reasons that I really, really, really got into, I'm 56 now, so this was in my early 20s. I think one of the reasons why I've developed a very, very keen interest in nutrition and also mindfulness and mindset and stress relief and meditation was to deal with my symptoms of IBS, which were pretty chronic at one point. I would literally at night, sometimes early evening, I would look like I was 6 or 7 months pregnant, and I would have my abdomen would be in so much pain. So for me, it was both a nutritional approach, and it was also a very, very much an emotional, mind-body work that I really needed to do. All right. Yes, it is. It's a lot more serious. All right. So now let's move on. And I'm going to take some of the questions that you left me. Gosh, it's dark already. Can you believe it? All right. So this is Donna Deutsch. So this is your question. How do you overcome mental blocks to lose weight? I struggle to find a way to push through negativity to exercise. I try to prep healthy meals, oil and sugar-free plant-based foods, but when I come to eat them, I find an excuse to make something else. Any suggestions would be greatly appreciated. So Donna, that is such a brilliant question, because I think so many people are in the same camp as you. So first off, I want to acknowledge you for trying and for really, making these attempts to get to your healthy weight. I want to acknowledge you for eating healthy, trying to eat healthy meals. oil and sugar-free, plant-based, you're definitely going in the right direction here. And you've really hit on something that is enormously important and is very, very close to my heart, which is that it really, truly is your mindset. It is your mindset. It is your beliefs. It is your mindset. And unless you know how to basically reset your mind, and I actually call it rewiring your brain, it's going to be very, very hard to do long term. And that's why I believe that diets generally don't work, because you can do any diet for a certain amount of time. You know, if push comes to shove, you can force yourself to do it, but it's only a matter of time before you're going to spring back to your old ways. It's the human condition. It's because you have certain neural pathways in your brain which go to the easier way, the convenient way, the addictive food, which is the food that has the sugar, the oil, the salt, and etc. So what I encourage you to do, Donna, is to watch my master class. So I've created a master class. It's called 5 Surprising Shifts That My Clients Make in Order to Be Able to Lose the Weight Permanently. Feel 10 years younger, because my clients get this beautiful new lease of life and to really glow from the inside out, because that'll give you a little bit of a window into my approach, which is very, very unique to weight management and to really, really transforming yourself. It takes a transformation. And that's why I think I'm so passionate about this work, because so many people, you maybe, and many others have tried endless approaches and endless weight loss diets and eventually come up empty-handed. So have a look at my masterclass. Catherine, if you're on, I would absolutely love it if you would pop in a link to the masterclass so that everybody can watch that. Thank you very much. Catherine has just put the link in. Be sure that you watch that. Just click the link and bookmark the tab so you've got that in there. And I'll also put it in the caption to this video. All right, we're going on to the next question now. So Charlene, osteopenia, what are some good bone building supplements? My doctor has suggested I go on FODMAP, which I don't want to do. My naturopath says the test results show osteopenia rather than osteoporosis. The supplement she suggested to me is so expensive. So here's the thing. When it comes to osteoporosis, brittle bones, building strong bones, the first misconception, the first myth that I want to bust is that you need dairy products and animal products to build strong bones. You don't. This is a myth. This is an absolute misconception. In fact, it can do more harm than good in terms of, leaching the calcium out of your bones. So really, Charlene, what I would say to you is, the most important thing is to make sure that you are on a whole food, plant-based diet, and that you are eating plenty of dark green leafy veggies, which contain a lot of calcium. Now, there are lots and lots of foods, really healthy whole food plant foods that contain calcium that a lot of people don't realize, in tofu and many, many other foods. Also keep in mind that there are foods such as many plant-based milks that are enriched with calcium. So you might want to try a basic nutritional approach first and see if that makes a difference. Now, the other really, really important piece of the puzzle here is to make sure that you are doing weight-bearing exercises. Super duper important. So again, back to, I think, the question that we had earlier is, does weight-bearing exercises, weight training, or whatever make a difference? Yes, it makes a huge difference, not just on your weight loss journey, on reaching and maintaining your ideal weight, but so many different things, keeping your beautiful posture, reducing sarcopenia, which is muscle loss that we lose, as we get older, over the age of 50. There's so many different reasons why it would behoove all of you to make sure that you have a good resistance training regime in place. And if nothing else, even if for you it's not it's not a weight loss issue, then to keep your bones really, really strong. So that is thank you very much for that. Somebody said, watch my masterclass, it can really help you. And Catherine's put in again, if you're a YouTube user, she's popped in the link to the masterclass, and it's on Facebook too. Okay. So that answers your question. In terms of the actual supplement that your naturopath recommended for you, I don't know what that very expensive supplement is, I'm afraid. It might not be necessary. You might be able to just take a basic, calcium supplement. So, you may not have to go to that huge expense. And don't forget with supplements, the thing is with some supplements, if they're very, very expensive, then you have to keep on taking them, right? It's not like a one and done. It's not like, oh, you just take it 1 month and then goodbye, and you have to keep on buying it month after month, year after year. So it can really add up. So I like to really try and give the basics. I like to try as much as possible to recommend that that you get as many of your nutrients as you can from whole foods. And then in some cases, we all need to supplement, whether you're on a whole food plant-based diet or not. Okay, I'm just looking here because I have a bunch of questions right here. So first off, oh, that was Cheryl. Cheryl said that. So Cheryl's a lovely client of mine. Cheryl, I love you. I'm so glad you're watching and on tonight. Oh. So Cheryl says, watch the masterclass. Cheryl has worked with me. She has transformed herself. She has transformed her life. She has transformed her weight. And Cheryl, hello, resistance training, right? You're a ninja in that area, and I'm so proud of you. And Cheryl, a big shout out to you. And I want to send you so much love from my heart, because Cheryl started working with me exactly a year ago, right, Cheryl? Exactly a year ago. And Cheryl is somebody who I just want to celebrate, because a year later, Cheryl is still doing everything that she was that we worked on and she was coached on and that I taught her a year later. And this really is truly what it's about, because Cheryl really transformed herself from the inside out. So thank you for the shout out, Cheryl. And I want to thank you for being, for being so willing and resourceful and committed to finding health at a time that it's very important in your life to find that health, and for really, really going for it and committing to it. There is, I'm sure you would agree, Cheryl, there is not a more priceless gift than your health. And we all know that, right? Particularly now when all the numbers are ramping up and the this and the that and the COVID and all of the everything going on around us. There has never been a more important time than to take care of you. Take your focus off of what's going on out there that is stressful, that will suck your energy, it will make you anxious, it will make you upset. That's why I really wanted to jump on this live stream tonight, particularly with everything going on, and really focus on what we do have control over, which we do have control over taking care of ourself and our wellness and our health. And that is what I am all about. I am wholly committed to that, to helping you if you need help, and for at least, putting that information out there. And in my groups, obviously there is, there's some free information in there. Thank you so much for that. All right, so I'm just going to take this question from Kelly. So Kelly, you're a regular, and I'm so glad that you left this question. When you talk about weight loss and wellness, doesn't part of it have to do with your emotional health? I believe there's a connection. I'm not going to lie. I think some bad foods are triggers for depression for me. I try to eat clean. Okay, yes, and yes, Kelly. That is an absolutely brilliant observation. And you're so right. But again, it's like, is it the chicken or the egg on that one? So, poor foods, processed junky foods will deplete your energy. They will make you feel horrible. They will make you crave more. They will affect your body. They will affect your, microbiome, and the list goes on and on. And there is a feedback loop, Kelly, between your microbiome, your gut, your good gut health, and your brain. And if your body is in good shape and healthy, if your gut health, your microbiome is healthy, then that is automatically going to put you in a better mood, because 95% of your serotonin, which is the feel-good chemicals, is made in your gut. So absolutely, if anybody is on the SAD diet, the standard American diet, that, in my estimation, in my humble opinion, leads to you feeling, can lead to you feeling extremely below par, emotionally depleted, stressed, even depressed. So that's talking about the chicken or the egg. That's one way of looking at it. And the other way is that if we deal with your emotional health, your mindset, your emotional health, clearing away the resistance, the blocks that are holding you back, then it becomes easier to commit and stay on a really beautiful, healthy diet, and to keep going with all the different wellness things that I teach, the fitness, the meditation, etc. So it's whether the chicken or the egg comes first, but I would say it really honestly doesn't matter your approach. It's the easier approach is to eat healthy, because that's something you have control over, but many of you will need support and will need accountability to stick to it for a sizable period of time, if not forever. And forever is where transformation comes in. And when you have that transformation, like Cheryl did, there really is no going back, because Cheryl crossed that bridge from feeling hopeless and not good and not excited about her future and fed up and not good about herself, to feeling freaking amazing, excited, despite, Cheryl, I will point out, going through all kinds of difficulties, all the COVID difficulties, that many of you have been through, losing loved ones, losing parents, job shutting down, the whole 9 yards. So Cheryl, good for you, because after doing the Ignite Your Life program, you just stuck to it and through all of those difficulties and challenges. And that's really, truly what it's all about. Our true self, when we're in stress and struggle, our true self shows up. Right, ladies? And I'm very, very, I really want to celebrate your true self, Cheryl, showing up despite those very, very difficult circumstances. So I love you. And that's just amazing. Okay. Now, wait a minute. I'm just having a look here. I'm keeping a good eye on the time, because I can't go too long tonight, but I do want to make sure I got to the questions that those of you who had made the trouble to write them down. So, okay, so Pam Berry says, what are the best foods for people with hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism? All right, so if you're hypo, raise your hand, because most people are. Most people have, I would just not say most people, but a very, very, very large percentage of women have low thyroid. Their thyroid is not firing as you would like it to do with all those thyroid hormones. And again, in the evidence-based science, the evidence-based nutrition tells us that, to support your thyroid and your hormonal health in general, a whole food plant-based diet is really, where you want to go with that. Now, contrary to sort of conventional wisdom on the internet, you don't have to avoid soy. But the caveat is that you do need to make sure that you're getting enough iodine. Now, iodine is really important. If you can eat sea veggies in the form of seaweed, then I highly recommend it if you are hypothyroid. So you can make a miso soup. You can buy dried seaweed, online on Amazon. You can drop it into any soup, but a miso soup is delicious. So that's really healing and very healthy and really support your thyroid. Brazil nuts, you can pop those in your smoothie. And if you don't like seaweed or can't have seaweed, you may want to take an iodine supplement, because most of us don't eat iodized table salt anymore. We try to get a bit fancy with our salt, right? I prefer you to go very, very, very low sodium. And really pay attention to your sodium intake and your salt intake. That's what I recommend for all of my clients. We go as salt-free as we possibly can. So that for most certainly of my clients and ladies that I work with would take the iodized salt and even out of their diet. And so you could take a iodine supplement, and you could take something like iodorol is one that I believe you can find on Amazon. So hopefully that helps. Okay, I'm just going to take a little sip of my tea. Hi, Julene. How are you, my darling? Lindsay, hi. Anne, hello, hello, hello. Okay. Oh, Kelly, you have such good questions. All right, so Kelly says, why do we crave the bad foods? And the reason we crave them is because it's how you have been biologically, evolutionary psychology, basically. So back in the day, when we were hunting and gathering, we needed to find foods that were very high in energy. That would be sugar, that would be carbs, that would be fat, right? And then also we needed to have some salt and some sodium in our diet. So our brains evolved to crave these foods because in times of famine, you may not be able to get these foods. So we had to fill up on them. So it's your brain wiring. That's one reason. And there's also other reasons as well. It's really complex, Kelly. It could also be triggers. It could also be stress. So I have my clients look at the triggers as well. So it's a multifaceted approach that I take. But do watch, if you haven't already, the masterclass, Kelly, because I really cover that in the masterclass. Suffice to say that it's my opinion that unless we address these issues head on of why almost everybody craves addictive foods, right? To some degree, some people like off the charts and some people just a little bit, but most people do. Unless we address these issues head on, get to the bottom of it and really, really understand what we're up against and how to deal with that, then any attempt at eating healthy or being on a sort of healthy diet will, for the most part, be short-lived. And that's why, for me, I keep on banging on about permanent results. And I don't just throw that out in my masterclass, like, reach your ideal weight permanently. I don't throw that out as Cheryl and others who have worked with me as just a little catch or a gimmick or something. But it really does need to be, permanent, because what's the point of doing it if it isn't going to be something, if there isn't going to be a permanent change? But it takes a lot, Kelly, and it takes a multifaceted approach. All right, so another question here. This is Lynn Geenan, and I hope I've said your name correctly. So Lynn said, are soya, and I'm going to imagine you're in Europe or the UK, because we say soya there and not soy. But are soya vanilla yogurts healthy for making acai bowls or acai bowls? So for those of you who don't know, I think most of you know that acai is a berry from the rainforest. It's very high in anthocyanins. It's very high in antioxidants. And you can make these beautiful smoothie bowls that you've probably seen on Instagram, these bright purple bowls. And they're beautiful. You blend it up with some frozen bananas, some frozen fruits. You can top it with seeds and nuts and all of this good stuff. So if you haven't fallen in love with acai bowls or smoothie bowls, then just go to Instagram and put in the hashtag and you'll find lots of them. I would be very careful, Lynn, with soya vanilla yogurt. It might be okay, but you need to read the ingredient labels on your yogurts. So for the most part, I don't recommend fake cheese. When I say fake, actually, fake cheeses, and you have to be very careful with plant-based yogurts because they can have sugar in them, particularly the ones that have fruit in them. They can have additives, stabilizers, and all that stuff in there. So be very, very careful. It can be healthy, but read your label like a hawk, because there's no point making a healthy smoothie bowl or acai bowl if you've thrown in a plant-based yogurt that has, extra sugar and stabilizers and gums and all of those additives that you just don't want. So hopefully that helps. All right, Pamela. So Pamela Lee Russell, best alternatives recipes when you have that sweet craving. I see warm cocoa commercial and I crave it. So that's an interesting one. So really two things here, Pamela. I actually do not recommend to my clients that we look for, and this is really interesting as we're going into the holiday season here. I do not recommend to my clients, and those of you who are in my program, who have done my program, know what I'm talking about very well, that you substitute out too much, because sweet is sweet is sweet, and sugar is sugar is sugar. And there's no getting away from that. If it raises your blood sugar, I don't care if it's agave, if it's honey, if it's, turbinado sugar, raw cane sugar. I mean, there's whatever, 85 different names for sugar. Now, there's two reasons why. One, a sugar is a sugar is a sugar is going to spike your blood sugar and is an empty calorie for the most part. The other reason, even if you go for the non-caloric sweeteners that will not spike your blood sugar, something like a sugar alcohol like xylitol or erythritol, or stevia or monk fruit, you're not training your taste buds. Now, this is really important, okay? I was just away for a weekend in Sedona. Has anybody been to Sedona? It was my first time to Sedona in the beautiful desert. Oh my gosh, it was breathtakingly beautiful. But anyway, really interesting. I was taken on a tour, not a tour, a hike, a guided hike, my husband and I, with a brilliant, this man, Chris, who is an encyclopedia of knowledge of going back hundreds and thousands of years to what are the hunters and gatherers in the particular valley that we were in ate. And very interesting, he explained, because he had this brilliant knowledge of nutrition as well. So he explained what they ate for sweet and for fat and for protein. So very interestingly, there were these little tiny berries, and I cannot remember the name of the bush, but it was something like a something apple, but it was like a little tiny, hard orange berry. And he said, just try it. So my husband and I tried it, and he said, just, you spit out the seeds, which I thought was really great, because he said, then, it'll multiply and more of those trees will grow. And it was a little bit sweet, but not that sweet. And, back in the day, the hunter and the gatherers, that's how they would eat a handful of these, and that was their sweet, right? And then they would get, in this particular region, they would get their fat from pine nuts, pinon trees, which are very high in fat and very high in healthy fat and in protein as well. So that was just really interesting. It's something that I teach my clients, but it was a real sort of wake-up call to actually be walking in this region that, to all intents and purposes, was this barren, kind of dry region. And then he would point out all these little things. But, these people were walking around all day, hunters and gatherers, and that was the sweet that they got. That was as sweet as it got. They would have agave as well. There were agave plants, and they would roast that. But between the occasional agave and these little berries. So we now have so much sugar, and we trained our taste buds to have this insane appetite for sweet. And even the healthy sweeteners are 600 times sweeter than table sugar. So a long answer to your very good question, Pamela, is that I would try and wean yourself off that sweet taste altogether. Ladies, if you want sweets, then just eat a whole sweet sauce, which is something like dates. So I hope that helps. Okay. So this is a good question. I'm going to just jump in for Bryant here. So I need help. I've been waking up every day in the past 2 to 3 months with crazy stomach pain. It burns. I feel bloated. I have no appetite at all. Doctors say I have gastritis, but I don't know any help. Okay, so first off, Bryant, I'm not a doctor. I have to be very, very clear about that. I'm a board certified nutritionist, so obviously I don't diagnose or really don't want to comment so much on a medical condition. But I will say that you could have gastritis, SIBO, IBS. I mean, it's so complex when we get to these digestive issues. So don't freak out. there is hope for you. There is a path forward. I've seen many people with all kinds of digestive issues, from Crohn's to the whole gamut, being able to heal their gut, to heal their stomach, their digestive system, and their gut. What I am going to point you to, so that we don't spend too long getting into the weeds here on this, is, again, I'm going to point you to the book called Fiber Fueled by Will B, known as Dr. B, but just search Fiber Fueled. That is the name of the book. It's a bestseller. I interviewed him right here on this channel. I don't think it's on you. I don't think I saved it on YouTube, but he's brilliant, and he's a gastroenterologist, and I think you're going to get a lot of help, my love, from reading that book. I'm sorry you're suffering from that. That really, it's frightening, isn't it, to wake up with that stomach pain? And I really understand your fear, but take a breath. All right, stress relief as well, meditation as well. You know, as I work holistically, so everything blends in together. You know, it is going to be your stress relief. It is going to be meditation. It's also going to be your diet. But pick up that book. All right. Oh, Linda is a little tiny apricot. Oh my gosh, you probably got more knowledge about all these foods than me. Oh, Lorene loves Sedona. Feels so good there. Oh my gosh. Yes, it was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Frozen sweet grapes. That's a good tip. Who was that? Was that Maureen that said frozen sweet grapes? Yes, could be really, is a really good snack. It's a very good snack. I love that. What a great idea, my darling. Thank you for that. All right, so right. Susan Lund, would you be able to recommend a few brands of digestive aids that you believe work well? Beans, lentils, greens, etc. can add up to occasional discomfort. So what I would say, Susan, before you go to a digestive aid, now you can go and find a digestive enzyme supplement online. Just go search for that. You know, on Amazon, they have different configurations, I should say, but most of them are the same. Just look for a really good vegan one that's reviewed well. But before you jump to that, just make sure that you might, Susan, want to slow down a little bit. If you are eating a ton of beans, if you're relatively new to a whole food plant-based diet, you just might want to slow down. With things like your greens, make sure maybe that you add a few more cooked, gently steamed veggies in your diet. I think sometimes a lot of people that just jump into a whole food plant-based diet suddenly eat tons of beans, tons of lentils, lots of salads. It's a lot of fiber that your stomach, your digestive system, your gut is kind of going, whoa, hang on a minute here. You've got to slow down a little bit. So, you know, you might want to baby your system a little bit, slow down. Make sure you're cooking your beans really, really well. Maybe just back off the beans a little bit. Maybe just have lentils. Also, the other thing that I would really recommend is beets. Raw beets. They're in season now in North America. That bright ruby red root vegetable beets. You can grate it. Try and eat it raw because it has natural digestive enzymes in it. You can have it raw. You can make a delicious salad. Just grate it up, have it raw, sprinkling of lemon juice, maybe some walnuts on there, delicious. In a pinch, you could have a beet juice. I'm not a fan of fruit juices at all, or I mean, it's a sort of vegetable juice, but it is sweet. There's quite a lot of sugar in it. I prefer you to have the actual beet because it's got all the fiber in it. But that's really good for your liver. It's good for your gut, and it will help your digestive system. So hopefully that helps. And then, you know, if all else fails, then you could go to a digestive enzyme supplement. But keep in mind that we want to try and not have too many of these supplements because we don't want it to become a crutch. You see, as we get older, our digestive fire diminishes. The acid in our stomach, all of our digestive enzymes diminish. So what we really want to do, the first line, my first best practice is let's try and look at the foods that we eat and make sure that we're getting as many digestive enzymes, chewing your food very thoroughly, eating super, super duper slowly. Chewing thoroughly is the most important thing when it comes to diminishing bloating, and not talking while you're eating. I've actually just put out a YouTube video that many of you have probably seen, which is all about how to diminish, you know, it's the anti-bloat video. All right, Miriam, said she's going to be, is in Germany, so it's 2 a.m. in the morning for her. I'll catch you up tomorrow. Teaspoon of apple pectin a day is good for balancing cholesterol. Yeah, I'd like to see the science, to be honest. I have to dig into the science on that one, the evidence-based science, because I don't take anything on just on face value. So I say to all of you, and I say to all of my lovely community, that I try to keep my opinion out of it when it's recommendations, because there's so many opinions out there, aren't there, that are very confusing, very contradictory, conflicting opinions. So I always go to the science. So on that one, my love, it sounds interesting, but I would have to dig into the meta-analysis of evidence-based nutritional science when it comes to apple pectin, to really see if indeed there are enough studies that support it being able to, when you say balanced cholesterol, I assume you're saying bring down LDL and bring up your HDL levels. But generally speaking, Miriam, my answer to you is that if you're eating a whole food, plant-based diet, then generally speaking, there are some interesting tweaks that you can make within that. And that's what I help my clients with if they really need to bring their cholesterol, their LDL cholesterol levels down. There's a YouTube video also on that came out, I think, 2 weeks ago or last week. But for the most part, eating a whole food plant-based diet is better than just focusing on one, particular nutrient. Okay, Susan, healthy sugar substitutes to use in baking, if this isn't an oxymoron. And Susan, I've just covered that whole thing of sugar, but in baking, there can be, my favorite are pumpkin puree, unsweetened pumpkin puree, bananas, dates, and applesauce. Those are my favorites. DC, I'm still a decaf coffee drinker. What are some healthy creamer substitutes? Natural remedies for acid reflux and apple cider vinegar don't work for me. Okay, so healthy creamer substitutes. There are some really nice ones. So I would just say go. I don't know DC where you live, but certainly in the health food stores in and about where I live, there are some really, really great plant-based creamers that are unsweetened. The main thing that I would say is when you're looking for a creamer, there's all these ones that have got all the different sugar and everything in it. Make sure it's low sugar. Oh, I've actually just thought of one that's come to mind that I really, really like. It's called Nut Pods, NUTPODS, Nut Pods. Try that out, and they have a hazelnut one or a plain one or whatever, but it's a really, really nice creamer, and I believe it doesn't have the additives in it. Got to be a little bit careful with creamers because sometimes they have a lot of additives in. I do have a YouTube video, I believe, which is how to make your own pumpkin creamer. So go to search that, put it in the search bar of YouTube. Karen, I've never had broccoli sprouts. Somebody told me it has a strong taste. Any suggestions on ways to eat this? So broccoli sprouts are so incredibly healthy. They are full of sulforaphane, and I think it's the equivalent. I think it's something like, I don't know the exact amount, but it's like 12 cups of broccoli. The sulforaphane, which is a disease-fighting, very important disease-fighting nutrient, cancer-fighting nutrient compound. It would take 12 cups of broccoli to get the same equivalent in half a cup of broccoli sprouts. So broccoli sprouts are very, very healthy. Yes, they have a strong taste. They do. I'm not going to lie. You can pop them in a smoothie, but it will alter the taste of your smoothie. I occasionally do that, but for me, it's like, it's a little bit difficult. I like to enjoy my smoothie. So what I recommend is just sprinkle them on a salad. They're delicious in a wrap or a sandwich, but a wrap is really good because it gives it that crunch, and somehow the taste, there is a slightly sulfurous bitter taste, but it works really well. It sort of goes away, and it works really well, particularly if you pack a wrap with lots of crunchy veggies and hummus and pickles and all that other delicious, yummy goodness, olives and whatnot. All right, so any other questions before I go tonight? Oh my gosh, that's wonderful, Julene. I love it. I love red bell peppers in a soup. They just give it that beautiful color and that deep taste. I've actually just made a soup that the family and I are having tonight. I've made a butternut squash, which I love to use all the time, butternut squash soup, and it has got red lentils in it. I love red lentils. Red lentils and sweet potatoes or butternut squash or pumpkin work really, really well together. It's sort of marriage made in heaven. The tastes go together. You get all those beautiful orange colors, which have all the nutrients in them. And obviously at this time of year, when we want our beautiful comfort food, when it's pitch black outside, and it wasn't a week ago. So that's delicious. All right, Maureen posted Maureen, I want to thank you. Oh, that's great. So Maureen posted a wonderful cashew creamer in the group. So for those of you who aren't in, if you're watching on YouTube, I highly recommend you join the Healthy Living and Weight Loss for Women Over 40 Facebook group. Healthy Living and Weight Loss for Women Over 40 group. There's an incredible tribe, many of whom are on here tonight. And people like, women like Maureen, who is so supportive and so lovely, is always posting really great recipes. So check it out, make sure you're in that group. Okay. Oh, that's interesting, Kelly. Kelly puts arugula in her smoothie. Yeah, I love arugula. I love the peppery taste of arugula. I've never put it in a smoothie, but I do love arugula. I'll eat it almost every day as a salad. I just love it. It's a leaf that I love. I just love the peppery taste. All right, so any other last... Yes, and Cheryl. Oh, Cheryl, you just got the Instant Pot. All right, so all of you who've got Instant Pot recipes that you love, get in that group and share them. Cheryl has just got her Instant Pot, and it makes amazing beans. If you've ever tasted the difference between canned beans and beans that you have soaked and made properly, you know, pressure cooked in an Instant Pot or whatever, the difference is it's so different. It's night and day. I know it's a pain to do that, particularly when we're all so busy, but it really is worth, even if you just try it once, cooking your beans from scratch is also really much better on your wallet, because obviously dried beans are very, very inexpensive. It's one of the most inexpensive health foods that you can buy, so full of protein and goodness. All right, ladies, that's it from me tonight. I have to go. I have to get dinner on. I have to get dealing with everything I've got to deal with. But I just want to finish with this. So again, a lot of crazy bananas going on out there right now in the world, right? This week, insane. So there's chaos going on in many different ways with, you know, the political and the, you know, COVID, and we're going into winter and time change or whatever. So there's a time when there's an exponential amount of kind of fear and anger and unrest. So I am asking you as a community to really watch where you put your attention, because whatever you put your attention on increases in your body. And if there are stress chemicals and negativity and fight and flight response going on, banging at your system every hour of every day, it is deleterious to your health. It is the most deleterious thing for your health. I could go on about nutrition until I'm blue in the face. And as many of you know, I love to talk nutrition. It's hard to get me off. I was going to come on for half an hour tonight, and we've been on for 53 minutes. And it's because I love talking nutrition. I'm passionate about it. But if your stress levels are through the roof and your anxiety is through the roof, then that's what's really going to chip away at your health. And so I cannot stress more that make a commitment to yourself that over, you know, the next couple of weeks, that you really make an effort to practice. It's your mental health, it's your emotional, mental, and spiritual health that has to come first. So what can you do to really make sure that is a top priority? So really think about that. You know, how can you love yourself and how can you love others? You know, so, you know, whatever way everything goes, you know, whatever you're voting for, you know, my vote is for love and compassion. you know, for us to spread that, you know, within our community, you know, to each other, and then outwards to the world. So I really wanted to leave you on that note. So have an absolutely beautiful week. Why not? Why not change that around? I've heard so much of like, oh my gosh, it's such a difficult week. And here in Los Angeles, I don't know where you live, but all the stores are being boarded up and this is going on and that's going on. But, you know, as I tell my clients that I work with, you know, we have a choice. And you have a choice what to put your attention on, and you have a choice what to focus on. Speaking of focus, if you haven't, go watch my masterclass, because that will just give you this lovely, you know, it's 45 minutes long, 45 minutes of just digging into the kind of the world of Sophie and my approach to everything, to really to health, happiness, and permanent weight loss. But health and happiness is the end game. For being at your ideal weight anyway. So I love you all, and I will see you shortly. And I've got some really great live streams coming up over the next few weeks. I've got some great guests coming on. We've got Michael Greger, Dr. Michael Greger. He's coming on next month. We have, I think, Brenda Davis, who is amazing. She's part of the kind of tribe, the Michael Greger tribe. She's coming on. We have an amazing one all about skincare coming up. So we've got lots of really great live streams for you. So every single Monday night at 5 p.m. Pacific. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.